So, what are the 10 biggest questions that musicians have, or what are the biggest questions in general that musicians have that will, if answered, take their career to a new level, skyrocket their careers, help them make more money, get more gigs, and things like that? Well, in this video, I'm going to be talking about the 10 biggest questions, or maybe 10 or 11, we'll see how it goes, that musicians have that, again, if answered, will help them skyrocket their careers. So I want to welcome you all to the live stream. Thank you all so much for being here. We're going to jump right into this content. I don't want to waste your time. So we're going to get into the first question. And the first question comes from at Mike on Bass. This is a question that Mike on Bass asked. He asked, how do I get more gigs and actually make good money from music? And of course, this is a good question. This is one that we all have as musicians, right? So the thing I'll say about this is that it starts with groundwork. Getting gigs and making good money is a process that you kind of have to go through. This is not something that you can do overnight. This is what I found that a lot of musicians deal with. They think that you can just get a lot of gigs easily, like you're supposed to just go out there and people are supposed to give you gigs. I talk about in videos all the time that we just sit around on the couch waiting for people to call us for gigs and stuff like that. It's not that process. To get a lot of gigs and make a lot of money from what you do, you have to do a lot of groundwork. Now, the thing is, with gigging and music and what we do as musicians, we have to treat this as a business. This is something that I talk about all the time. If you think about people who have money, people who have a lot of money and want to pay that money to other people, to like musicians, for services, they expect a certain level of professionalism and business acumen from the people that they hire, right? So if you got a billionaire who, say, wants to hire a band for his granddaughter's wedding reception or something like that, and you have two equal bands here, like two equal bands that are talented, got the same amount of members and all of that kind of stuff, and one of these bands has a good social media presence, has a website, has an electronic press kit, has a following, all of these kind of things, and then the other band has none of those things. Which do you think is more likely that this billionaire is going to choose? It's going to be the one with the professionalism that looks more professional, because people who have money hire professional people. Like, a billionaire is not going to go out and hire just some random street band, at least somebody that is perceived like a random street band or something like that, right? So when we're talking about making good money from gigs, this is what you have to realize. And there's a lot of groundwork to do this. Now, the good news about this is that we live in a time now that it doesn't take a lot. You don't have to spend years and years and years looking for gigs and trying to do all of this stuff. This is something that you could really set up and do within a few days. You can set up yourself as a business in many ways. I always advise, musicians to have stuff like a website, or at least a social media presence that's dedicated to what you do as a musician, artist, or band. Like, so Instagram, YouTube, and all of that kind of stuff should be set up that way. That way, when people are looking for you, or when you're having business conversations with people about getting gigs and all of that, you can direct them to these social media pages or to your website. And it's also good to have, like I said, an electronic press kit. And EPKs, that's what we call an electronic press kit. Those get they have a lot of misconceptions around them. They don't have to have all of this stuff to them. As long as you have what it is you do as a band or an artist or as a musician, some symbol or some sort of symbolic stuff of your craft, of your music, like this is the type of music that we do, this is the type of band we are, and all of that kind of stuff, and have some social media stuff on there. That's really all you need in an EPK. And this is the stuff that you're going to be taking out and going to people when you're visiting bars, when you're visiting places like that, to give them this kind of stuff, right? This is something that you need. So when you're asking Mike on bass, how do you get more gigs and actually make more money? It really all starts with that. It starts with the groundwork. So I advise everybody that's looking to make more money from gigs and get more gigs in general, start today by just setting yourself up as a business. Start your social media presence. You hear me talk about that all the time. Start your YouTube channel, start your Instagram, all of that. This is how people are looking for artists and musicians now. It's no longer this thing where you show up to a club or some event and then there are some music producers, some big time music producers or something there that's like, oh, that's a good musician, that's a good band, let's give them some opportunities. I mean, generally speaking, that doesn't happen much anymore, if at all. The way that it's happening now is through social media presence and all of that. So start there. Now, I'm not preaching that it's like you start an Instagram or you start a YouTube and then you get 100,000 followers by next week. It doesn't happen like that either. But you start the process of doing that, and then that's what's going to get you more gigs. All right, so that was the first question. You guys let me know what you're thinking in the comments. I'm going to go over here and check my comments while we're going here. I see quite a few people here. Thank you guys again so much for being here. We're going to move on. Go ahead and get to the next question. So the next question comes from at Vocal Queen 88. And they ask, what's the best way to promote my music without spending a fortune? Another really good question. This is a question we all have, right? We want to be able to promote our music without spending a lot of money, without breaking the bank. And this basically comes down to using a lot of the free platforms like we talked about. So like I just mentioned, using things like Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and stuff like that, that's always going to be the free ways to promote your music now. So when you're talking about without spending a fortune, that's like free. You're not spending anything at all. And again, I know we kind of look at social media as this saturated place now where, people think when they hear me say that, just start a YouTube channel, get on TikTok, get on Instagram and do it. People think in their minds, they say, well, yeah, that makes sense. But like I'm in competition with so many other people and then, it's saturated and all of that. Here's what I'll say about that. Saturation on social media is a little bit different than what we typically think about when we're talking about saturation in a market or in a business arena or something like that. There are a lot of people on social media, but here's the good part that works well particularly for us musicians and artists and bands. You hear me talk about this all the time, but people are very tribal now. People are very tribal, meaning people like to support who they like, who they love, and they cut for those people, right? So it's about basically getting enough people to support you and support your music. You don't have to have the millions. You don't have to have the hundreds of thousands. In fact, it's a smoke and mirrors thing like I talk about with social media all the time, because what happens is you're on social media and you see these people with hundreds of thousands of followers and fans and all of this kind of stuff, or at least that's what it looks like on the outside. But a lot of these people aren't. It's just a number. It's just a metric. They're not really making any money from it or anything like that. And it's something I can attest to. I have on my Instagram, I have over 110,000 followers right now. And I do fairly okay on that. But when I first got that, I've had that amount now for a few years. And I think now probably like for the first year and a half, even with that many followers, I wasn't making any money from it, like literally $0. So, and it wasn't until I start to implement a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about here, like the business acumen and all of that kind of stuff, to where I started bringing in some income from it. So don't be fooled by the numbers, like getting all of these followers. So again, when you're talking about promoting your music without breaking the bank, without, spending a fortune on it, it's these ways. And you don't need these hundreds of thousands of followers. You need a good group of select people. Something I always mention is Kevin Kelly's article on 1,000 True Fans. And the 1,000 True Fans theory states that basically all you need is about 1,000 people, 1,000 fans, 1,000 followers, and all of that kind of stuff, who truly and authentically support you. Like no matter what you do, they buy your music. If you have a concert, they show up there, they buy the tickets, they buy your merch and all of that kind of stuff. If you have like only 1,000 of those sort of fans, you could easily make, over six figures a year. If you're putting out music. I just released a CD. It's almost been a year ago now. So actually 2 months from now, we'll make a year. And it's one of the things that I did. I promoted my music to my followers and stuff like that. And I did over 30,000, well, roughly almost about a $30,000 CD launch last year, just from doing that. And this is without, most of you guys don't even know about it because I didn't promote it on my YouTube or anything like that, right? So this is something that's really possible. So if you're talking about, again, the best ways to promote your music, it's through things like that. Now, another thing that I'll mention is building your email list. This is probably it ties for the top two ways that people like myself, business people, promote their music and promote their products and things like that. When you have an email list of people that you can directly promote your music and promote your products and stuff like that to, it's going to help greatly, because again, this is how I promoted my CD last year. I have an email list, at least the email list that I promoted my CD to is a list of about 5,000 or 6,000 people, right? And you can expect a certain percentage out of those to kind of support you and open your emails and click on your buy links and buy your CD and all of that kind of stuff. I didn't even put it on like Spotify and all of that, Apple Music, until like 3 or 4 months after I had released the CD, right? Because I promoted to them first, and then like the Spotify stuff, really, you got to get so many millions of streams like to even make some sort of decent amount of money. So I wasn't going to depend on that. So it's in the email list. Now, the question becomes, how do you start an email list? Well, there's a bunch of services that you can use to do this. One that I always recommend is, oh my goodness, I forget the name of it. It is called, never mind. You can just you can Google search like email list providers. This is what you do. Now, what I will do is I'll share with you the one that I use. I'll go over here. Let me see. There is a program. This is what my whole business is set up on. I'll show you this just briefly. Let me show this to you. So I'm going to share my screen here. So this is called Kartra. This thing here. So this is a program called Kartra, and these are the prices for it. It starts at $89 a month. Really, a really good value. Now, this is a whole online business setup platform. And what I'll do is I'll add I have an affiliate link. I'll add that in the chat so you guys can, if you guys are interested in checking this out, you can. I have a affiliate link where you can try this, I think for like a 30-day trial and just see how it works. But I'm telling you, this is something, the way that I have this set up, my entire online business is set up with this platform. So the emails that I'm sending out to you guys, the emails that you get from my email list, that's set up through here. My online courses and stuff, all of that is built through this program. Even I sold my CD, I built a website through this online platform for my CD and all of that. So there's a bunch of ways that you can set up an email list and that you can use this stuff to, sort of get your music out there without spending, without breaking the bank like you're asking. So again, at Vocal Queen 88, you're asked about what's the best ways to promote your music without spending a fortune. These the things are it. Build your email list. Start with the free platforms, the social media platforms, and things like that. All right, so we're going to keep it moving. Let's see what you guys are saying here in the chat. Thank you guys again so much for being here. Let me move this over so I can see what you guys are saying. Okay, so Tony, hey, Tony, thanks for being here, man. Saying love your video. So glad to catch you live for a minute. Thanks for all you do and share, bro. Oh, man, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here. The FTM22 is saying, just arrived. What do you think about people in their 50s getting into music as a solo artist? Ageism in the corporate world. What's your take on the music industry? Oh, man, that's a really, really, really good question. I'll actually dive into that question right quick before we get to the next question I have written down here. That's a really good question about people in their 50s. I know this is a question that a lot of older musicians have about the ageism thing and about as you age and like what opportunities are available to you and stuff like this. Well, the FTM, I got really good news for you, man. I think I got really good news for you on this. We're in a time now where I think more than ever before, more than any time in history, go back to 80s, 70s, 60s, 50s, or anything like that, where I'm not saying that age and ageism is not a thing. It absolutely is. But I think we're in a time now where it matters a whole lot less. And what I mean by that is that you are, if you are in your 50s or 60s or whatever, the playing field has been leveled for pretty much everybody. You have the same opportunities available to you as a 20-year-old, particularly with social media. And I'm not just throwing that out there randomly. I do a lot of research where I see stuff like this because I like to see what the opportunities are available for everyone when I'm talking about these things. Like when I'm researching topics for my videos and things that I'm going to talk about, I like to be well informed on these things. So this is something I do a lot of research on. And when I tell you, I mean, there's people out here in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, like killing it. Like they've pretty much started a second life, particularly again on social media, like YouTube, specifically YouTube, because this is where I do most of my research at. And you see a lot of people, again, in the second half of their lives, in their golden years, so to speak, like on social media, killing it. Like it's a phenomenon that's just like crazy. Whereas again, where 20 years ago, if you were in your 50s and 60s, I mean, you were pretty much ageism was a bigger thing, and people kind of treated you bad and kind of just wrote you off, and oh, this is just an older guy, okay, boomer kind of thing. You know what I mean? And now that's just not the case. You can get on YouTube and you can start making videos. You can do the same thing, Instagram, TikTok, or whatever, and start crushing it, like, better than what you ever did in your, 20s and 30s. That's the good news about this for anybody that is watching this, that is of age now in the second half of their lives, and have these thoughts about, is this thing for me? You guys may not know this. I'm 49 years old. This is the first time I've actually shared my age publicly. I don't care. I'm 49 years old. So I'm almost in my 50s too. It's not about your age anymore. It's really not. And I would even go as far as to say that you have when you're a certain age, when you've aged some, you have a particular advantage over people that are younger, because you have experience, you have knowledge, you've kind of gone through the trials and tribulations, you've been through the fire. You can share that knowledge with other people, right? You have stuff, you have value to share. And this is something that I'll talk about when I get into one of the other questions. So I'll just kind of preface it a little bit here. But the thing about this is that music now, we have to, as musicians and artists and bands, we have to get out of this mindset about sharing our music and stuff. I'm trying to wait till I get into the question about it because I don't want to overreach. But what I'll just preface it and say that it's not just about your music anymore. It's not just about that for any artist, any band. And I'm talking about even the celebrity artists, from Taylor Swift and Beyonce, Kendrick Lamar, on down to, the typical nobodies like me. It's just, it doesn't matter about your music so much anymore. Where again, as if, 15, 20 years ago, we would have been having this conversation, you kind of needed some banging music, or, the typical stuff in the music industry. You had to be a female with a nice body and a nice look and all of that kind of stuff so they can promote you. That's not the case anymore. Hello, Lizzo. It's just not the case anymore. And I'll get into more of that in one of the other questions. So again, to answer your question, man, like ageism is not a thing. When I tell you, I see it every day. I talk to musicians. I train musicians who are in that age and older almost every day. And I'm watching them crush it. I'm watching them start like having a resurgence of life in this second half of their life. So don't in any way be discouraged by ageism and all of that kind of stuff, because it doesn't matter as much as anymore. You can start today, get yourself out there, start your business in the things that we've been talking about thus far in the stream. So I hope that helps. So let's get back to some of the other questions. I'll check out some of you guys' comments again in a second. I want to get through these questions so we make sure we get these answered. All right. So our next question comes from at drummerboy22, and he's asking, or maybe he or she is asking, how do I connect with the right people in the industry? Again, another really good question. Connection. You hear me talking about connection and networking and stuff all the time. And the answer to this really comes down to just like basic bare minimum or bare, grassroots principles about connecting with people. Again, I think the problem that we have as musicians and artists and bands, and just as people in our world now, is that there's no way to say this nicely other than to say we've gotten really lazy in a lot of ways. And this is, I'm talking about myself here too, so I'm not just pointing the finger at anybody. I've gotten really lazy about stuff too, because of the ease of life that we live in now. Everything comes easy. When you want something to eat, you can Uber Eats or whatever, and the food will be at you don't even have to get up and leave the house anymore. You want to get a product delivered to your house, you go on Amazon, it'll be there the same day in a lot of instances. So a lot of this stuff has caused us to be kind of lazy and have this mindset of things coming easy to us. So I'm prefacing my answer with that just to say that when we're talking about connecting with the right people, it's really about this grassroots approach. You really need to get out. You need to attend stuff. You need to go to other people's gigs, go to other bands' gigs, connect with them after the show and stuff like that. I have a video that I talk about this, and I'll show you guys. Let me go over here to my screen again. I'll show you guys. Let me see, because I brought this up because I figured that it would come up. There's a video that I did here, which is talking about a process that I still use, again, to this day, to get booked, to get gigs, to connect with people, to network and all of this kind of stuff. And it works so well. It's a process I've used for literally over 10 or 15 years now. And it works so well that I literally still use it I just used it to this, that was last week. So like last Thursday, I booked some gigs for my band and some other bands by using the process that I talk about in this video. So again, when you're talking about connecting, this is a video to check out. Just go to the channel, Music Space channel, and check out this video, and you'll see like the process that I use in there. But again, this all comes down to this grassroots approach. So attend local events, local mixers, all of that kind of stuff. And then also you can participate in online forums and stuff like Facebook groups and stuff like that to connect with people. Don't simply just use these social media platforms like YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and all of that to just put out your stuff. Also use it as an avenue to connect with people. So when you meet somebody, when someone comes in there and posts, a question about something that maybe you can answer that question, and then, hit them up in the inbox. And say, hey, I would really love to connect with you on this thing that you talked about. Maybe we can get together, I don't know, even online to do something if you live further apart, or, you find out, this has happened to me a few times. You find out that you live kind of close to each other, adjacent cities and stuff like that where you can connect. So these are some ways that you can do this. Now, the other thing that you want to do, one of the things that I like to do is I talked about starting an email list, but I like to email what I call value-based emails to industry professionals. And let me break that down for you. So what I like to do is find people like booking agents, all of these kind of people that book gigs and are kind of more connected, or maybe more connected than I am, or just have different connections than me. And I'll reach out to them via email, and, I'll present some kind of value-based thing, because here's the key. This is what you want to know. When you're reaching out to people, and even in this video I just mentioned, I talked about this, but when you're reaching out to people, when you're emailing clubs and when you're visiting clubs and talking to the owners about playing there and all of that kind of stuff, one of the main reasons that doesn't work well for a lot of people is because they come in with this attitude of, what can you do for me? How can I get gigs at your club? Can you give me an opportunity? Can you give me that? Whereas if you present stuff like that to industry professionals as something value-based, they're much more likely to respond to you favorably. So here's what I mean. when I'm reaching out to clubs and people like that, I present an opportunity. Hey, I've been visiting your club. I come here a couple times and I've noticed that you don't really have, I don't know, a jazz night or whatever type of music you play. I realize that you don't really have much jazz playing here. And one of the things that I realize is that there's a big community in this area that likes jazz. So I want to present to you or propose to you, maybe starting a jazz night. What I'll do as a value to you, I'll help you promote it. I'll help get people in there. Not in this, like, I'm going to go out and hand out flyers kind of thing necessarily, but I'll reach out to the people on my social media page and let them know about it. We'll start a night. And then I want to propose my band playing for it. You see how that presents a value opportunity for them? That's one of the biggest tricks in talking business with people. Present stuff as an opportunity. I tell people that all the time that reach out to me. I get people reaching out to me all the time about collaborating and doing stuff with them. And, some of it really sounds great. But at the end of the day, I'm human just like everybody else. So I'm thinking in my mind, well, like what's in it for me? Like, why do I want to waste my time doing something like this? Like, what is the value that I'm going to get out of this? And it's not that I'll just necessarily turn it down, that if there's like low value in it, it just means that I'm much more likely to agree to something if there's value in it for me. You see how that works? So again, when you're talking about connecting with the right people, Drummer Boy 22, this is the way you do it. It starts with this grassroots approach. Attend local gigs and mixers and functions and all of this kind of stuff where people are, and then connect with them. Have your electronic press kit ready. Have your business card ready where you can exchange numbers and stuff like that. And this is the way that you do it. And then like I said, the final way that we talked about was just having a value-based email approach when you're reaching out to people. All right. So yeah, let's see what you guys are saying in the chat now, man. Oh my God, I got so many, people here now. Let me check out some of the questions before we move on in the chat. Melita says, good evening from Amsterdam. Wow. Great to see you live. Hey, thanks for being here so much, Melita. I hope I'm saying your name right. Melita, yeah, I think that's how you say it. Thanks so much for being here. Ladiva saying, I'm in a group called Entre Musician, and we're all over the age of 50 and independent artists. You should check us out. Okay, I definitely will do that. Drop a link in the chat, Ladiva, and we'll check that out. Maybe that's a good resource again for the person that was asking about stuff over 50. So you see, there are resources out there, so it works. So thanks so much for putting that in. The brother LJ is saying, I always thought you were a keyboard player, but I was happily surprised to see you playing bass in a couple of your videos. I just started taking bass lessons, so there's hope for me. LOL, love your videos. Yeah, man, I'm a multi-instrumentalist. I play mostly keyboard and piano stuff is my primary instrument. I have a degree my actual degree in music is called music performance with a concentration on piano. So piano is my primary instrument, but I started out on drums. Drums is my first instrument. I learned piano, bass, organ, guitar, and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, I play multiple instruments. So, but I appreciate it, man. Yeah, and taking bass, man, that's a good thing. That's again, I always advise people to learn more than one instrument. It makes you more valuable. So, and then Fig Stream is saying, hi, great program, Sylvester from the Virgin Islands. Wow, from VI. Thank you guys so much for being here. Listen, guys, this is something that is still so amazing to me. I don't want people to sleep on this. Like, as you can see, like, what's the name? I can't say your name right, but he just said he's watching from the Virgin Islands. You had someone else that was watching from somewhere else in the world. This whole phenomenon of social media is just amazing to me. Like, this is what I compare it to. This is what happens sometimes. This one time I was on a flight. I was on a plane I was on the way to LA, to Los Angeles, to do some work there. And I had a couple that were sitting in front of me, and they were like just uppity people, just to describe it, the best way to describe it. But the Wi-Fi wasn't working on the airplane, and they were upset. They were like, oh my God, like They kept calling the stewardess. They was like, well, can you do anything? Can is this? And they were just being like really livid, and they were really upset. And the whole time I'm sitting there thinking like, you know, we're 35,000 feet in the air, flying in a metal tube with some wings on it safely. That's getting us from, from one area to the next, like thousands and thousands of miles within a few hours. And like these people are complaining about not having Wi-Fi connection. Now I get it. Like we all want our stuff. Like of course I wanted Wi-Fi too, but I always keep in mind things like this. This is a value thing that I'll share with you guys here. For me, one of the things, if you were to ask me, like, what are some of the key things that has created success for you in your life as a musician and stuff like that? One of the things I always point to is, again, just remembering where we come from and remembering where we are now and comparing the two. Like I just talked about in the person that was asking me that about, opportunities when you're over 50 years old, and about how 20 years ago that just wasn't a possibility. So it's not lost on me that I'm live on the internet right now, connecting with people from around the entire earth, the entire globe. That stuff is not lost on me. So that stuff is like still truly amazing to me now, that I can sit here in my room, do a live stream or create some videos or whatever, and have people from around the world watching it. That's not lost on me. And I'm truly grateful for that. So I would say again that you guys that are looking for, reasons to do stuff like this is a really good reason to get into what we're doing, just because of the opportunities that present themselves. All right. So let's keep moving with these questions. We got a few more to get through, and I'll check out some more of the chat in a minute. So the next question, let's see. Yeah. So the next question comes from @Keys by Nate, and he's asking, should I focus on YouTube, Instagram, or something else for growth? Another really, really good question. We've been talking about social media and stuff so far in this training. And the answer to this is, it's going to depend. It's going to depend on a couple of things. It's going to depend on mainly the audience that you're going after and where that audience is. So if you're going after a younger audience, say a 25 and under audience or something like that, TikTok is probably going to be your place to go. If you're going for an older crowd, now Facebook is the older crowd kind of thing. So Facebook may be the thing to grow. If you're looking for just an all around general platform, like the best of both worlds or all worlds platform, YouTube is always probably going to be the go-to. YouTube is now the biggest search engine platform in the world. Google owns YouTube, and between YouTube and Google, they're the biggest search platforms in the world. So everybody is pretty much on YouTube. And there's some shocking stats that came out about YouTube just last month, was that more people are starting to watch YouTube on their TVs. So YouTube is now also the biggest streaming platform, bigger than Netflix, Disney Plus, Amazon Prime, all of that kind of stuff. More people are watching YouTube. So the best platform for growth, just all around growth, is going to be YouTube. But again, it doesn't just have to be one of these. It doesn't have to be either or. I always recommend having a little bit of presence on like at least the top three of them, which right now is YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. There's going to be a lot of bleed over that you can have on that. What I noticed is on TikTok, I think I have roughly about 20,000 followers or something on there now. And what I've noticed is there's a lot of spillover from platforms. So if you have, say on YouTube, you get 100,000 followers, you're probably going to get at least 5 or 10,000 on TikTok, because a lot of those people on YouTube are going to follow you on TikTok as well. And it works that way with all of the platforms. So particularly when you're getting started out, I always say have a primary one, like focus on this primarily, like focus on you. And YouTube is the one I always suggest. Focus on YouTube primarily, and then have one or two of the other ones as secondary ones, Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook, or something like that. So when, again, answering your question at Keys by Nate, should you focus on YouTube and Instagram? If you want just one platform, YouTube is probably going to be always my answer because of everything that's going on with YouTube. And I'll just share some quick stats about that. They're projecting that by 2027, YouTube is going to be a multi-billion-dollar industry. The content creation platforms and academies and just the creator academy and the creator market in general is going to pretty much double by 2027. And it's crazy because like back in 2020, when the pandemic happened, they were already projecting some really big numbers by like 2025. But the pandemic kind of accelerated that because more people were at home, more people were watching TV and YouTube and all of that kind of stuff and becoming creators themselves. So with that, they kind of accelerated this. And then like they're saying by 2027, there's going to be the biggest sort of platform for creators and the content, academy or content creation sort of thing to make more money. So this is why I always suggest YouTube as a platform. Now, since we're talking about that, I think this is a good time for me to bring up, we have a course here. A lot of you guys that watch me don't know much because I don't do a lot of promotion for it, but we have a course called the YouTube Creator Academy. And I'll go over here to my screen and show you this. We have a course called the YouTube Creator Academy. And I built this course specifically for musicians and artists and bands. And this course has I believe like over 10, 15 hours worth of training on YouTube on it. And it's going to show you exactly how to get started, how to start making money immediately, how to make all of the metrics, like get the followers, get your, money count, all of this kind of stuff up for you to get started on YouTube. And you can check it out here. What I'll do is I'll go ahead and drop this link in the chat for you guys to check out. And I have a special offer on it for you guys today. You can see here on this page, it says unlock my special offer. This is the special offer. And this page is just for this stream. I'm going to be taking this down probably in a day or so. I'll give people a chance to watch this stream, maybe about an hour, or I'll say till tomorrow this time. I'll leave this up until tomorrow. So that'll give people time to think about it. So I dropped a link to this in the chat. So I just dropped that in the chat so you guys can check out. But it's definitely something I've gotten so much. Let me tell you about the process of making this course. I was kind of hesitant to do it because I still, like I just explained to you guys, I'm still in this state of like, I can't believe like all of the opportunities that are available for us. And a lot of times what I do on my videos that you guys see on YouTube, I just talk about stuff that I know, things that I've been through, my experiences and stuff like that. So I still have a little bit of this, like, well, who am I to like create a course about something? But I can tell you, like, since I've created this course and people have gone through it, like the stuff that they've told me, like I get people telling me all the time, they started their YouTube channel, just from something that I said in this course, and that helped them out. I have a couple of people that have taken the course that they have more followers and subscribers than me. So I'm like, well, I need to be listening to you. So it's a crazy process. So I don't want to just oversell this or anything to you. I just give you an opportunity to check it out if you guys are interested in it. It's a special offer right now. It's and this offer is only going to be up for a certain amount of time. So make sure you guys check it out. So that's it. Let's get back to the questions. So our next question here comes from @IndieArtistK, and they ask, how do I build a real fan base that actually supports my music? Again, another good question. All of these questions are really good questions. This is something that we kind of already been talking about a little bit with social media and all of this kind of stuff, but it comes down to this. The best way to build a real fan base nowadays in 2025 that we're talking about is through what I call creating a community. So this is the main way to do this. So I'll explain it like this. This is something I spoke to earlier. It's something you hear me say all the time in a lot of the videos, that because we're so tribal now, communities are built around like the craziest thing now. So my go-to examples of this is always like Taylor Swift has her community of fans called the Swifties, right? Beyonce has the Beehive. That's her community of fans. They support these artists, or community support these artists no matter what they do. You know, Lizzo, I brought her up earlier. Lizzo has, her name is always the funniest. She has the Lesbians. So Lesbians is her name. And you have a few others, right? That are, have these communities around them. And then you think about everything else too. You think about politics. You think about how the political parties have their diehard communities around them. Like they're really tribal, and they support their, whatever their political affiliations are to no end, right? And while this can be something that, particularly as it pertains to politics, it can be something that is kind of not good. It's actually good news for us musicians and artists and bands, because the way that people support us now is through these communities. So when we build a community around what we do as artists, musicians, and bands, people will support that, and then they become our fan base. And again, this is why it's important to focus on, like what we just talked about, the social media platforms, particularly YouTube. Now, here's the thing. This is a key here. This is something, and I'll talk about this, I think, in one of the other questions as well. But get this. If you get nothing else from what I'm about to say here, or everything I've said so far, understand this. People don't just support your music anymore. That may be shocking to hear. When people support you as an artist, musician, or band, they're not just supporting your music anymore. In fact, your music is secondary. Hear me when I tell you that. Your music is secondary. What they're supporting is you. You as a person, you as a musician, you as an artist, you as a band. Here's what I mean. This is why you see a lot of these, specifically, I guess, the unsigned artists and stuff like that, but even the celebrity artists and stuff like this. This is why they all have Instagram and YouTube channels and all of this kind of stuff, where they go live and, have the phone up here, hey, everybody, just want to reach out and say this is what I'm doing with my day and all of this kind of stuff. They show themselves getting makeup done and all of this kind of crazy stuff. And that's what people support. This goes into the authenticity thing. People like to get behind people and support people that they view are like them. They want to see themselves in you. And the more you can facilitate that, the more support you're going to get. They're going to buy your music after that. When they support you, they're going to buy and support everything you do. Think about it again, branch it out to politics. You can have a politician saying or doing some of the craziest stuff. They could go out and, commit crimes. And again, we don't talk about politics here. So I'm not talking about a political party, any political party. I'm just using as an example. Anybody in any one of the parties could go out and do some of the, craziest things, or say some of the craziest things, and still have people support them, because people are tribal. So at Indie Artist K, when you're asking about building a real fan base that actually supports your music, there is no better way. It actually, even by a mile, this way that I'm talking about now surpasses any other way that you can come up with. When you build a community around you, what you do, yourself, who you are as a person, people will support you, and then they will support your music. So I hope everybody listening to this has gotten value out of that so far. I'm telling you, this is a game changer thing. When you start to think about what you do through that lens of let me put myself out and let me have people support me, right? Let me have people support me, not just my music. My music is going to come second to that. People are going to talk about, if you go to my Instagram right now, every video that I post on Instagram, it gets nothing but like these supportive comments. Hey, great video. Oh man, you killed it on this. It's nothing but that kind of stuff. And the reason that is, like I said, I think my music is good. So it's not that the music is not good. It's just that people have bought into me. I'll show you another example of this. I pulled this up just in case this would come up. So I'm glad we're talking about it. Let me see. Let me go to I actually thought I did pull. Yeah, check this out. This is an artist that I follow here on YouTube. This guy named Will Giddens. This guy's amazing. Like, he's amazing. So you can see some of the videos and stuff that he posts here. Where he got videos that got 8 million views. Crazy stuff. This guy's an amazing singer. He's a very talented singer, very talented artist. Not signed to any label or anything like that. But what he does, his process here is he's gotten people, he releases these videos, these cover songs and all of this kind of stuff. He's gotten people to support what he does. And then every now and then, let's go to his videos. So you see all of the covers and stuff that he does. And then every now and then he'll release some of his own original stuff. Now, so not only is he making money from like YouTube, he has over, what does it say here? 702,000 subscribers. Not only is he making money from YouTube AdSense and stuff like that, probably from doing like a lot of these videos, he's able to promote his own original stuff. And, you know, I don't know if he has this, but the way I would do this and the way that I've done it with my stuff is I build my own website. So I don't have to sell my music. I don't have to depend on stuff like Spotify taking a cut from my, or Apple Music taking a cut from my music when I'm selling it. I build my own website, and the people on my, like my YouTube channel, or the people that I promote to through my email list, they come support it. I point them to my website. Like I just told you, my website here about the YouTube Creator Academy for musicians. Like, I post that stuff and then they come buy my music. So again, this is just an example of like some of the ways that you can do this. So again, building a fan base that actually supports your music. You see like real life examples of like YouTubers and artists and stuff doing this on a regular basis. I just pull one of them up. I follow several artists that are like this. So again, that is the best way to do it at Artist NDK. All right, so let's go back over here to the chat for a second. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. Oh my God, so many comments have come through. Let's see, let me scroll back up here for a minute. Yeah, he was from Amsterdam when I was talking. So there's somebody watching from Amsterdam, Virgin Islands, all this kind of stuff. Yeah, you guys let me know where you're watching it from. Where are you watching from? Yeah, Melita, you saying I said your name right. Okay, cool. That's great. Oh my God. Ilian is saying hello from Bulgaria. Great video as always. Bulgaria. Guys, I'm in the United States. I'm in Texas. That somebody's watching from Bulgaria, Amsterdam, Virgin Islands. People are watching from all over the world. That's amazing to me. Thank you guys so much again for being here. Devin is saying, my name is Devin, coming from Canton, Ohio. Okay, cool. Young musician, college studying music production and engineering. My question is, where do I start to build a brand? Great question, Devin. I'll jump into that really quickly. Where do you start to build a brand? It's really through the things that we've been talking about here so far. If you've been on the stream so far, if you haven't, I would again recommend go back and kind of watch some of the things that we've talked about so far. But again, building a brand. Now, everybody listen to this. When this is something that is critical when you're talking about building a brand. Your brand now, again, very critical. You have to think of a brand in a different way. It's not, how do I say this? It's not all about these ancillary things. It's not about the website and the graphics and the this and the that and the fonts and the business. It's not necessarily about that. Those things are absolutely important, but all of those things need to be built around a core. And guess what that core is? You. The core is you. Like I just explained, people are going to support and get behind you. You are the brand. So how do you want to be seen? How do you want to put yourself out there? How do you want people to view you? When you answer those questions, start creating content that's based on what you just answered. I want people to see me as a jazz musician. Okay, let me start putting out jazz music on social media. I'll do some jazz covers here and there. That's developing a brand. And again, the good news about this is that I think people kind of see this as now like they hear when I say that, they hear what I'm saying and they understand it. But I think the kind of hesitation in their mind is that it sounds like it's a long process. And I'll be honest with you. It's not an overnight process. It's nothing that's going to happen, tomorrow, at least from most people. But I can say that it's probably much shorter and much easier than you might think. It's much shorter and easier than you might think. It's not something that's necessarily going to take you years and years from now. And again, the context that I have in my mind, I know you, Devin, you said you're a younger musician, but for a lot of us who've been in this industry for a while, again, we can think back to like 20 years ago, 25 years ago, where that wasn't the case, where branding, like you had to have some money, you had to go get, hire branding companies to help you come up with stuff, where now as you have all of these free options where you can do that. So again, Devin, just really quickly to answer your question, again, my answer to that is start putting yourself out, man. Let people see who you are and what you do. What do you stand for? What do you believe in? What do you think is true about music and all of this kind of stuff? It's really great that you're in school doing music production. I still advise people to get formal training in, things like music and music production and stuff like that all the time. That's really great that you're doing that. But when you're talking about building a brand, just start putting yourself out there, man. Let people see who you are and build yourself around that. So I hope that answered your question. So, all right. Another comment, Ellen Harris is saying, great stuff. I started late 50s plus, but connected with gospel promoter on Facebook. Let me go back again. But connected with a gospel promoter on Facebook. We're still friends. Met another promoter through another friend and performed in December Faith Journey. Yeah. See, this is an example. Thank you for sharing that, Ellen. That's an example of somebody connecting with people on social media, where we talked about networking, whether one of the questions was about networking earlier. This is a perfect example of that. And Ellen is saying 50 plus. So I'm sure she means like she's only 51 years old or something like that. But yeah, I mean, there's opportunities out here for us all, man. Like this, we're just in that time now where the playing field again is level. You can be 25 or 75. You have some of the same, as long as you're willing to work and put in the work and able to do that, the playing field is level. You have the same opportunities as everyone else. Okay, so another comment says, Will.I.am. Are you Will.I.am from what you call it? Says sometimes you can have the skills, but may not have the time and availability for people when you're, let me make sure I'm reading this right, Will. Sometimes you can have the skills, but may not have the time. And I think you just mean availability for people when you're married and got kids. What is the best option for oh my God. Yeah. You guys are asking let me tell you why this live stream is great and how it's affirming and confirming to me, like some of my findings in my research. Again, when I started out the stream, I told you guys that I did a lot of research and asked people what their biggest questions are. And it's amazing that it's coming true, because the question you just asked is a question someone else is going to ask later. I have it on a slide here that I'll show you. So I'll save for that. So just stay tuned. Will I answer that question about it? It has basically to do with time management and stuff like that. So the question is phrased a little bit differently, but stay tuned. I'll answer that for you. So Ellen Harris again is saying, still on the piano journey. That's your bucket list? Yes, it's a lot of work. Measure by measure. Yep. LOL, encourage yourself. Find others who are trying. Play before or after church, small audiences. Yeah. Very good way to do that. Start small. I always say it's the 1%. You focus on getting 1% better each time you practice, each time you perform, each time you do this. Don't worry about the big stuff. It's all going to come. If you focus on the small things, incrementally in, 6 months in a year, you'll be 3, 4, or 5 times better than you are today. So yeah, that's good stuff. I'll get back to the comments in a minute. Let's get through a few more questions. We only have a few more here, guys. So let's get through these questions. So at Saxman Dre is asking, what's the best way to get paid on time for gigs? What's the best way to get paid on time for gigs? Again, another really good question. We all want to be paid. When we do gigs, there's a lot of crazy stuff that happens where, we got to sit around and wait on money, where people are fun. When it comes to money, people are really funny about money. Have you ever noticed that? Like, people are just like really, for no reason, like really funny about money. It's like, you're supposed to be paying me money, Why do I have to chase you down kind of stuff? Like people, it's just the craziest thing. But okay, so what's the best way to get paid on time for gigs? It's very simple for me. It's very simple. Use contracts. Use contracts. It's the thing that now here's let me tell you about contracts for a minute. The thing about contracts in most of these cases, like if you do a gig at a club where you're only making $150, $200 or something like that, and you put that in a contract and something goes wrong where they don't pay you or nothing like that, I'll be honest with you, the contract is having that contract probably on the back end is not going to do much for you. If you, in the sense that if you try to sue them or take them to court or something like that, you're going to end up spending more money in that process than just like forgetting the $200 that they owe you. But what the contract does do in most cases is that it shows that you're serious, and it gives you a whole lot more peace of mind. And I can tell you that in, I would say at least 99.999% of the cases where I've used contracts, even in the smaller situations like that, they've always turned out to be okay. And even in the situations where I've had where, say a band was hired to come do a gig somewhere, and not a full band that was together, but all of us came together as a band. So, hey, you call this keyboard player, this drummer, whatever, right? And we've gotten together, and I've been the only one to use contract. In a lot of those situations, I was the one that got paid where the other guys got messed over, right? They didn't get their money, but because I had a contract in place, the people took me more seriously, and it's like, okay, we got to pay this dude. So, I mean, it's simple. It's use contracts. Now, the other thing is, there are some circumstances that, contracts may not, I want to say that carefully, because in most cases, contracts are a good option. But if some opportunity or something like that presents itself where contract may not be the best option, the other thing is get a deposit. Always get a deposit. For me, my standard is 50%. Give me a 50% deposit. That way, again, if something goes down, something happens, at least you've gotten some of the money. At least you're not walking away high and dry and you've got raked over the coals because, somebody didn't pay you. So deposit is another thing. And then the last thing I'll say to that is that you got to follow up with people. Learn how to follow up with people too. A lot of people don't, even when they do follow up, they'll send out texts, hey man, what's up with the money and stuff like that. A lot of times it's in the language about how you say stuff. What I like to do is when I'm following up with people is it's professional. It's, hey, just reaching out to you. I know the payment was due. The date of the payment was due that you owe me was on Monday. We're now past the date. Please let me know when I can expect payment. I wait for a response for that. I get no response from that. I give it some time and say, hey, if I don't get a response in such and such time, I'm going to take this to a new level. I'm going to start doing whatever I do, some legal stuff to get my money from you. That usually makes people kind of, get on board. But again, just generally speaking, if it's not an issue-based thing, like you don't have an issue with like people paying you, giving you money, it's just a time thing, getting paid on time, use deposits and contracts. All right. So I didn't mean to go to that screen. Okay, so let's go to our next question. Our next question comes from producer Jay Beats, and he's asking, how do I balance making great music with handling the business side? Now, this question is getting to what the person I just said that was asking in the chat. Let me go back to that question so I can make sure. Yeah, so this is the one I was talking about where this is kind of going to go into his question. So how do I balance making great music with handling the business side? This is another really good question. This is a problem that I think a lot of musicians have, that they know they need to be doing the business side of it. They know they need to get into that, but they also want to be, we're creatives at heart. They want to be making great music. So how do you balance the two things? And this goes into the question again about the wife and kids and balancing this stuff out. This all comes down to a time management thing. Here's the thing. We all live now in this world where we're all just super busy. We all got stuff to do. Everybody is running around. The life is just busy for everybody, particularly if you got a family, wife and kids, or husband and kids and all of this kind of stuff. You're busy. So the more stuff that you have like that in your life that is time consuming, that takes up your time, the more you need to organize it to be successful. So you need to develop these pockets of time to where you're doing things. A lot of us just let life hit us randomly. And it's like, whatever comes, oh, that takes our attention and this gets our attention. No, you need to schedule these things. So develop a list of the most important things in your life, your family, your kids, and spending time with them. Schedule that stuff. And then when you see that you have some extra pockets of time, schedule it to work on your business, to put your business together and practice on your music and all of those kind of things. Right. You see how that works? Even if I tell people this, a lot of people don't know this about me, is I'm a certified personal trainer, physical trainer. And that's one of the things that I tell people about working out and stuff all the time. You don't have to go to the gym and be in the gym 3, 4, even 2 or 3 hours a day, or even an hour. Find a good 10 or 15 minutes a day. If you got this really busy schedule and you got a lot of stuff to do, wake up 10 minutes earlier. And then for that 10 minutes, just do some jumping jacks, do a couple of push-ups, get your blood pumping and stuff like that. And then do that consistently. And then when you're able to add more time to it and do more, do more. It's that simple. So how do you balance, making great music with handling the business side? And how do you handle, having a busy schedule with wife and kids and all of this kind of stuff that you got to do? It's through time management. A lot of us, again, think that time is against us and we don't have time. We relegate our lives and we subject our lives to things that are coming at us. And then we say, oh, we don't have time. But I guarantee you, this is the kicker right here. I guarantee you that everyone listening to this that has said that you don't have time to do something, I guarantee you, if I told you today, I will give you $5 million if by tomorrow you write a song for me. I guarantee you everybody would find time to do that. So it's not about not having time, right? The time is there because you would start organizing. You would put stuff aside. You would probably even neglect some things. I'm not telling you to do that, but you would find the time to do it, right? That's just how it works. So it's not that we don't, that sort of paradigm presents or shows us that it's not about not having time. It's just about putting that time in pockets to make it work for us, right? So again, how do you balance making great music with handling the business side? Time management. So use productivity tools, all of this kind of stuff. Use calendars and all of those kind of things to help you out. And this method works really well for that. All right, guys, just a couple more questions here. So we'll move on to the next one. And the next question comes from @Strings and Soul asks, how do I know if I'm charging too much or too little or too much for my gigs? Another really good question. This is a question that I get a lot. How do I know how to price my services? How do I know if I'm undercutting myself or if I'm charging too much and people are just turning me down because they see my price tag and it seems too high, or I'm undercutting myself? I tell the story all the time about there's no greater sort of duh or disappointed moment as when this happened to me. I was talking to someone about a gig one time, about a professional gig. They were offering me this gig and it was a really good opportunity. It was going to be in front of a lot of people and professional people and a lot of people that had money and all of this kind of stuff. And I really wanted to do the gig. And they asked me that one question of what my price is and all of that kind of stuff. And because I wanted the gig and all of this kind of stuff, I quoted this like really low price. I don't remember what the low price was, but it was like really low. I never will forget this. The woman, when I said that on the phone, the woman just paused and said, "Oh, I thought you were going to say it was much more than that." I was just like, oh, like there's no greater kind of crazy moment that you see in your mind or that you feel stupid when that kind of stuff happens because you've just undercut yourself. They see you as, you automatically know you could have gotten more money for what they were asking you to do. So that always again begs the question of pricing your services and charging, how do you price your services and stuff like that. What I will say is that the bad news about this question is you're never going to know for sure. There's no certainty in knowing, like, well, I'll say it like this. There's like no, at least no 100% certainty in saying that it should be this, it shouldn't be this amount, or it should be that, or shouldn't be that, like, right? But from there, the good news is that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What you do is you set your price and you stick to it. And you stick to it long enough to get feedback from it. Now, when I'm talking about feedback, I'm talking about objective feedback. If you're pricing your services, say you have a band, and we'll just throw out an even number there. Let's just say you charge $1,000 per gig. If that's working for you and people are paying you, you're getting a lot of gigs for it, try charging a little more. Try charging $1,200. Excuse me. Right? Then go up a little bit more. If you notice where when you start charging more, whatever that number is, and you keep going up, that the gigs start to die off, maybe you have your number there. Maybe you can back off of it a little bit. The same thing if you're charging too little. The thing about charging too little is about basically not getting paid what you think you're worth. This is one of the things, I talk about one of the more popular videos here on the channel is my video about why I think musicians should stop doing gigs for $100. And this is why, just $100 gig is, for me now, where I am in my career and in my life, is just not worth my time in 99.999% of the cases. It's just not worth my time, my energy, my effort. I mean, I have my cheapest keyboard is like $3,500, $3,500, right? I have equipment that's, and this is, again, it's not a flex or anything. I'm just talking about stuff like I'm bringing this stuff out to go do $100 gig. You want me to play 4 hours for like $100? For me, where I am right now, that may be for someone else. It's just not for me in my life right now, right? So you have to determine what your prices are for yourself. So again, I'm giving you ways to do that and ways to find out, to just charge more until you cap out. Now, here's what I'll say. What I've learned also is that this whole charging and the pricing thing has a bit of a catch-22 to it. One of the examples you may hear me say all the time is about how I just talked about this in a recent video about the difference between the two laptops, and the Apple MacBook Pro and like a Windows laptop or something like that. Two of the same laptops, same specs on them, exactly the same, but the MacBook costs more. The price on it is different because of the value that they put out. So what I'll say is that you can charge what you want. I've done gigs. And this is no joke. Don't go run and tell everybody this. This is not a flex. But I'm not kidding when I tell you that I've done a gig for over $20,000 before. I'm not kidding. And it's crazy because, again, it's something that we'd have been talking about this again just 15 years ago. That was something that I would have never thought that was possible for an independent musician, somebody that's just does regular gigs on a regular, not signed to a label, not, doesn't have this backing behind me, doesn't have supporters and, brand deals and all of this kind of stuff. I never thought anything like that was possible. But I can tell you, it really comes down to the brand. When someone asked about branding a while ago, and the value that you put out and that you show people that you offer. There are people out there that are willing to pay for premium or pay premium prices for value. So again, I hope that helps out as String Soul. It comes down to this thing to where you're not ever going to know for certain, but just try different price structures. See what works best for you. See what you feel comfortable with. Are you comfortable with, hey, someone is asking me to do a 4-hour gig. With me, the way I determine that is if I'm on that gig and I'm doing the work and all of this kind of stuff and I'm playing, do I feel like while I'm there that I'm getting paid what I'm worth? And if it's a yes, then I'm good with the price. Maybe I want a little bit more, but I can be satisfied with the price. If it's no for me, I'm probably not going to do it again. That's just the way I'm again at that point in my career now. So that's what I would suggest to you. All right, so let's go back over here to the chat one more time and check out what you guys are saying. There's so much stuff coming through. I want to get through this kind of quickly. Um, Let me see. Jamie is saying we don't have a music director at my church. Your guitar. Let me expand this because this. Okay. Really sucks, and he likes to improvise but doesn't know the basics of music. He plays horrible. Please help. Oh, this is a good question. This question really comes down to about working with others and how we work with others who are either like not team players, who are like the weakest links in the chain, and all of this kind of stuff. Now, here's the first thing that I will say. This starts with you. The first thing you got to do is check yourself, and you got to be really objective about this. You got to be making sure that you're not coming from a place of like judgment and like you're just being an asshole, so to speak, right? You can't come from that. You got to be genuinely wanting things to work better and genuinely want to help people and want the situation as an entirety to be better. One of the things I teach people, I have a video about being a music director. I'm a music director and pretty much the director, the MD in pretty much all of the music situations that I'm in now. And I think that the job of the number one job of a music director is not all of these things that people tend to see or think. It's not commanding, throwing out signs and number systems and all of that kind of stuff. It's not doing all of those things. It's not telling everybody what to do. My number one job as a MD, as a musical director for a band or any situation that I'm in, is to get the best performance out of my band as possible. That's my number one job. And there are many ways to do that. I tend to do it as an inspirational way. Like, I like to inspire people to be better. I don't like to tell, oh man, you messed up on this. You did that. You may want to check this. I'll just inspire you to be better. So what I'll do is I'll talk about when I messed up. I'm like, oh man, I missed a chord on that, man. So yeah, I heard you playing this and I missed a chord on that. Sorry about that. And you know what that inspires them to do? They say, oh man, I missed the bass note on this. I missed that drum lick on this. So yeah, we'll do this and we'll get better. And then everybody's better. So again, to answer your question, I'll say start coming from a place like that where you want the situation to be better. Now, in the case where it's like that, just talk to them, man. Like, have a conversation. The art of conversation is such a lost thing now. Like, if you got a problem with somebody, even outside of music, if it's you've butted heads with someone or something like that, go to that person and talk to them. Just have a heart-to-heart conversation. Hey man, so like, I really want this music situation to be better. Like, don't come from this place again of judgment. I want this music situation to be better, and I want us to improve. Is there anything that I can do that I can help with that, that's going to help you out? If you need to call me up, hey man, this is my phone number. Make sure you call me and we can go over the music and stuff like that. Make yourself available for that so that people are able to do this. In all these situations, I have a couple situations now where I have some close friends of mine that are in situations just like the one you named, where they're at a church, they're playing for the church, and there's a team of musicians there. And then one of the musicians, like the bass player, is probably like the weakest link. They don't know all of the songs and all of this kind of stuff. Well, in a situation like that, if you're not going to fire the person or something like that, or let them go, which I'm not saying to do, but if you're going to keep them there, just have a conversation with them. Do these things on a consistent basis that I'm talking about. Sit down and talk to them. How can we make this situation better? How can we change this stuff up? How can we make the entire band sound better to where it's not, this person is singled out all the time, right? How can we make this person more confident? Come from that. And I think that's the best way to work with those situations. So I hope that helps out. Ellen again is saying we have a Holy Spirit to direct us, be not conformed to this. You talking about your church situation? Yeah, good deal. Tony is saying watching from Marion, Indiana, another Indiana place. FTM saying he's watching from Indianapolis. Cool. Rugby UK. You got Martin says he's from Rugby UK. Crazy, right? It's UK. Ellen Shannon stepped out on faith and started an outreach choir, uses Bluetooth speaker and house musicians. was the venture taking a break. Good stuff again, Ellen. Yeah, I'm really glad that you're following your passion and taking some chances and doing stuff like that. That's really good. Brian is saying, I'm curious, is there still a place for solo musicians who aren't singers? I play piano swing style. Brian, my friend, yes. Half of my gigs that I do right now are solo gigs on piano. I create my own tracks. I don't download stuff. I hate that stuff. So the good part about what I do is I'm a music producer and stuff like this. So I produce music. So I do my own tracks and stuff like that. I have a residency now at a restaurant here in my city that I'm doing weekly, that I've been doing now for the past 3 months yet? Almost 3 months. Where I'm doing solo stuff, and they have solo acts in there all the time. And this is what I say. If you don't find that where you are has a lot of solo musicians playing a lot of places, do what I talked about earlier. Go to some of these places and pitch that to them. Hey, I noticed on Wednesday nights you guys have a nice crowd here, but you don't really have live music. I think maybe some background music like a piano jazz thing would be great. Let me pitch that to you. And what I can do is I can promote that to my social media followers. We can help get some people out here. See the value-based thing like that? Go present that, or do that presentation to someone at a restaurant or a club or something that you may want to play with. There's definitely opportunities for that. And even outside the local stuff like that, there's a lot of stuff that you can travel and do as well. So I hope that helps, Brian. Ellen says, thank you for supporting. Yeah, thank you for being here, Ellen. Sound of Joy says, watching from northern New Jersey, currently fellow content creator instructing in the traditional style of gospel music. Cool, good stuff. Since 2006 on YouTube. Oh, that's cool. Monetizing, creating products for an online store. Yeah, Sound of Joy, that's really great. You see how that's an example of like the opportunities that are out there for artists and musicians and bands now. So I'm glad you're sharing that. And this is something we talked about already. Ellen is saying again, let me see what happened. I scrolled past something. Okay, there we go. I also opened up singing My Secret Closet from my project and play Family to Praise in 2022. Quite a venture. Yeah, good stuff again, Ellen. Like Ellen is killing it, y'all. Following a passion, man. I really love that. Ricky Wade says, should the press kit be inside your website or somewhere else? That's a really good question. What I like to do is I like to have just a link. It doesn't matter where you put it. You can put it on your website. That's a good place to put it. You can have it on your social media or anything. What I like to do is just have a digital thing. Like what I have is a digital app, and I can't remember the name of it, but I have like an app where you can do where when you exchange contacts with somebody, you can scan like the little QR code, and it gives you their social media and their all of that kind of stuff. I have something like that where somebody can just scan a QR code and it takes them to all my social media, my contacts, all the stuff that I've done or the stuff that at least I want to promote and all of that kind of stuff. That's the easiest way to do it because it's the easiest way to share when you're out somewhere. Whereas again, previously, 10, 20 years ago, I had physical copies of this stuff. I had literally one of those manila folders with a physical CD in it with some blog write-ups and stuff like that where people could check out. Now it's just a QR code where you can create stuff like that with a QR code and share it. So that's the easiest way to do it. I'll get back to these comments in a minute. We got about two or three more questions here to go, and we'll get back to the chat. So let's get back to some of the questions here. All right. This question comes from the Mix Guru. And he asks, what's the biggest mistake musicians make that hold them back? Wow. What's the biggest mistake that musicians make that hold them back? This is a really good question. My answer to this, though, is simple. I think the biggest mistake now is kind of what we've been talking about a little bit so far. Like, it's not setting yourself up as a business. I think that is the biggest downfall of musicians nowadays. Like handling what you do as a business. And that means, basically what that means is just separating yourself from others by being a professional. The thing is, there's hundreds of thousands of bands around, right? A lot of us play the same type of music. if you talk about a rock band, there's how many rock bands you know? There's probably 10, 15 of them you can name in your city right now. Jazz bands, R&B bands, all this kind of stuff. All of those are the same. The way that you separate yourself from others and that you make a lot of money doing this is that you set yourself up as a business, as a professional. And again, that means 100 different things, but at the core, it just simply means, have things like contracts that you use, have a website or at least some social media, professional social media stuff that you can point people to, not just your personal stuff with some, the pictures of your dinner and stuff on there like that. Have a social media page that's dedicated to the stuff that you do so that people can see who you are and what you do in a snapshot of the kind of services that you provide as a musician. That's the biggest thing. It's just setting yourself apart as a business and making yourself a business. That's what this really comes down to. So that was a really easy question to answer. All right, let's move on to the next question. Let me see what we have here. Give me 1 second. I need to. Okay. Let me make sure this is going right. My screen here is doing something weird. All right. Okay. So the next question comes from Jeffrey Sturgill 7668. He asks, as a Christian musician, I'm curious as to what opportunities may be available besides being part of a congregation of worship team, and how to approach those possibilities. So again, he's asking about the opportunities outside of being basically a church musician and on the worship team at a church. That's a really good question too. I think there are a lot of church musicians that I know that don't really venture much outside of doing anything other than church music. So I'm going to assume your question is about what other types of opportunities that are available sort of in that same vein, because I'm assuming you could just go out and do like secular gigs and club gigs and stuff like that. So I'm assuming that, and that you're basically asking about other opportunities. So I would say within that same vein, to stay in the same vein, you can do stuff like studio work and songwriting. You can be a session musician to where you can play on a lot of the Christian stuff, the church stuff and stuff like that. I know a lot of churches that you have these sites like, what's that site? I think it's called multitracks.com and stuff like that, where they have like downloadable tracks and stuff that you can buy. But there's other sites that where users create gospel or church or CCM tracks and all of that kind of stuff, to where they put them on those websites and they sell them, and people make pretty good money from those because a lot of people download them. A lot of churches are using like these backing tracks and stuff nowadays anyway. So you could be songwriting, you can create tracks and do stuff like that. But you could also be a session musician. There's a lot of people that I know, because I do music production, that reach out to me that, needs a drummer, a keyboard player, a vocalist and stuff like that, like all the time, and ask me, do I know anybody? So there's opportunities with that kind of stuff. So definitely songwriting and studio work. The other thing I say is kind of what we've been talking about. Get into content creation. Get into this content world and start creating content around your expertise and what you do. So get on YouTube, learn the process of making videos and talking about what you love and all of that kind of stuff. So there's many opportunities that you could branch out to. I always advise people to do stuff like, you can even become like a music therapist, or if you play an instrument or something like that, you can do music as a therapy, where you can start going to things like, nursing homes and stuff like that, and playing music regularly for elderly people who are sick and stuff like that. That kind of stuff makes good money for a lot of people. So there's a lot of avenues that you can look at. But again, this is assuming that you're talking about opportunities that are kind of in these same veins. And again, the way you approach these opportunities is kind of the stuff that I said. Just reach out to people. Start putting yourself out so people know what you do. And then that way, when you reach out to people, you can point them to something. You can say, hey, this is what I have. This is the kind of music that I do. These are the types of things that I'm involved in. So, hey, I'm pitching my services to you. So again, Jeffrey, I hope that is valuable to you. All right. So let's get back over here to the chat for a second and see what we got. We got so many comments that are coming. I try to get through these really quickly. Demetric is saying, hey, Terrence, would you do a video why musicians don't have their own equipment and keyboards? Um, Demetric, I think that I have done a video on that subject already, or at least I know I've done something related to that. I don't think I would do a video like, hey, why don't musicians have their own equipment or something like that. I know I've talked about that in the context of other things. There's a lot of considerations to consider with stuff like that. I think that if you are going to get into the professional arena of gigging and playing and stuff like that, you probably should have your own equipment, or at least you should have access to some equipment that is not dependent on anybody else. And you need to have like good access to the equipment. Like, I don't need you showing up at a gig, and you're waiting. Oh, I had to wait on such and such to get my keyboard or my drum set from such and such. Right. So there's some contingencies and stuff there, but that's subject is something that I've talked about before. Ellen saying again, enjoy your family, take care of yourself. I'm retired now and also serving in my church, developing people skills. Yeah, good stuff, Ellen. Let me see what we have next. Everett is saying, enjoy your videos, bro. Thank you, man. Thank you so much. Thank you, Everett. Everett is also saying, how do I take my praise team to the next level or motivate them to come to the next level with what I'm learning and growing at without being frustrated or prideful? Oh my God, man. Listen. Woo. Listen, Linda, listen. My goodness. I know the struggle, bro. I know that struggle. I know we have a lot of church musicians and stuff on here, and I play for churches and stuff like this too. So I've been a church musician for over 30 years. So I know this stuff. I know the motivation struggle. I know the struggle of wanting to be better, wanting to do better, wanting to be able to do better music and all of this kind of stuff. And yet having a group of or team of singers and musicians and stuff like that aren't on that page. My goodness. Like when I tell you, that is one of the most frustrating things ever. I say one of the ways that I've found to salvage that situation is kind of to do what I talked about a little bit earlier in one of the other questions. And that is just to have conversations with everybody. Started with that. Let me get a sip of water here, guys. My mouth is getting dry. So start having conversations with everybody. And this is especially the case if you're the leader of that team, if you're the head person, it's kind of on you to be able to spearhead that. Start with having these kind of heart-to-heart conversations with everybody and approach it with a sense of like not judging, not being prideful and things like you said, but just actually coming from it from a sense of wanting to be better. Hey guys, this is where my head is. I'm thinking about, I want to do these things. I want to move here. I want to move to this level. I want to do greater things. I need you guys' input on how we can do this and how we can get there together. Involving everybody in that process is almost always a better option to get people on the same page, because when people feel like ideas come from them, they are more willing to support it. So again, it starts with those conversations, and then it's about setting goals too. Do things little by little. It's about, okay, we're in February of this year now. So let's by April, let's have this goal set, or let's by the end of this year have so many other types of songs. Like for instance, if your goal is like you're particularly a gospel choir or a gospel team or something like that, and you want to start doing other types of like contemporary Christian music or CCM and stuff like that. Hey, by the end of the year, we want to have 10 more CCM songs in our repertoire, or vice versa, right? So it's about doing that, starting with their process of, talking to everybody, getting everybody on the same page, and then setting goals that everybody can meet. So hope that helps. Okay. Oh yeah, we're pretty much almost through the contest. Ellen is saying again, I know I'm not ready for prime time. Had my one solo hymn performance in church. Hey, you might be ready for prime time, so to speak, Ellen. Go for it. Strange is asking, what do you look for in a guitarist? Oh, that's an interesting question. What do I look for in a guitarist? For me, it's more about the person now for me more than it is the musician. I think I look for a base level of skills based on the stuff that I play. Like if I'm looking for guitars for my band, I want you to be able to play the music that we do and stuff like that. I don't need you to be, Hendrix or anybody like that. I don't need you to be the greatest guitarist in the world. I just need you to be able to play the music. Now, from that point, I just need you to be professional. I need you to be timely. I need you to be willing to learn and willing to grow. Those are the things. Again, it's more about the personality traits for me now because I work with people. Matter of fact, I almost always choose musicians who, how do I say that, are not, let's just put it on a scale of 1 to 10 of like the greatness of musicians. Like you're superior, like your 10 is the highest. Like that's the highest you can go. I almost look for musicians now that are like in that 5, 6, 7 range. Like your skill, you got some talent, you got some skill. You're probably not the best in the world, but you got some talent and you got some skill. But on top of that, it's the personality stuff to me. Can I work with you? Do I enjoy working with you? Like, do we have fun when we're playing together? That kind of stuff is important to me now. Like, I don't care. You can miss some notes. We're all going to mess up on gigs and shows and church stuff. We're going to mess up from time to time. I don't care about that stuff. I don't care. Like the stuff a lot of people talk about like keyboard players transposing. I don't care about any of that stuff. When we show up to this function, to this gig, to this church, whatever the case may be, do you know the music? Can you play it? And are we going to have fun doing it? That's all that matters to me where I am at this point in my life. So when you ask me what I look for in a guitar player, that's what I look for in not only guitar players, but all musicians. So hope that helps, Strange. Brian tried to say, thank you. Means a lot. Your answer is encouraging, and I needed it. I appreciate you, bro. Yeah, man. Thank you. Yeah, it's my pleasure. I'm really glad that it helped out for you. Max is saying, how can I get corporate gigs? I'm trying hard. Sick of the bars. Oh yeah, I hear you, man. The majority of the gigs and stuff that I do now is corporate work. It's probably about, let's say about 85%, I guess, of the work and stuff that I do now is corporate work. It does come down to the things that I'm saying here, man. When you got people that are going to pay you more money, the more money that you're going to want to make, or that you want to make, and the people that have that money, they have certain standards. It's like me. If you just think about what I just said about the question about hiring a guitarist, like I have standards for a guitarist based on where I am in my life now. If you'd asked me that 20 years ago, I would have said something different. But based on where I am, my status, my lot in life, so to speak, I want a particular thing. Now, generally speaking, people who are at a certain position that have money in their life, that have that money and want to spend, and that are willing to pay for musicians, i.e. the businesses and the corporate work and stuff like that, they have standards. So what you want to figure out is what those standards are and how you can get up to them if you're not there already. And it's really simple. It basically comes down to the basics of the things that we're talking about, or that I've talked about so far. Have your website and stuff together. All professional businesses have a website. It's just the way that it is. It doesn't mean you need to have one, but you need to have something that is akin to that. So your social media needs to be such that it looks like you're a professional band that gets paid money to do what you do, and that is knowledgeable about doing that. People who have money and who have hire bands and musicians and stuff like that for corporate events, they don't want the average band that they don't know that will, may show up late, may show up and trash the place, show up drunk and all of this kind of stuff, right? If you have a perception of professionalism, you're more likely to get hired for that stuff. Now, outside of that, once you meet those standards, again, just start doing the stuff that I talked about. Do value propositions, reach out to people. I would even recommend getting stuff like a booking agent. That at least will get you in the door. Now, booking agents, they take their fee out of what you're going to make and stuff like that. But I guarantee you, even with a corporate gig with a booking agent taking their fee out, you're still going to make more money than you're going to make at a club gig. So start there, man, and just, develop your brand and stuff from there. Hope that helps out. Ellen saying, thank you again. Thank you again, Ellen, for being here. Jamie said, thank you for your advice. I would do exactly that. My pleasure, Jamie. My pleasure. It sounds like I work for Chick-fil-A, huh? My pleasure. So Samuel Cross is saying there are a number of individuals killing it on YouTube. Yeah, such as yourself. Wouldn't say that I'm killing it yet. I'm working on it. He says, do you feel the market is becoming more and more saturated? There's a saturated question. And how would you recommend differentiating yourself? It's a really good question, Sam. It's a really good question. I completely understand. We talked about markets being saturated and stuff a little bit earlier. Maybe you weren't here, but I'll say it like this. The word saturation, when it comes to online stuff, YouTube, Instagram, all of this online stuff, it's a little different than we think about it in terms of like a physical market or stuff like that. It's a little different. And the reason that it's different now is more so about what I talked about is because of the tribalism about what we talked about. It's not that, how do I say that? So saturation basically implies that there's only so much market share for a particular thing, for a particular product, right? There's only so many people that are gonna do that. But because of the online space, people are like multifaceted now. People are on multiple teams. So let's use McDonald's and Burger King as an example. So there are people who like McDonald's and there are people who like Burger King, but there's also people who like both and they don't really care. They just want a good burger, right? Online is that times 10. People support the stuff they like. So it's not that there's a market for, or the, let's say if you're a jazz musician and you have the entire market for the jazz musicians, or another person has, 1 million followers for jazz musicians. So now that market is saturated. That's not how it works. No, these people who love jazz, they follow that person, but they're going to follow you too, as long as you're giving them something valuable. So it's, to that end, it's never going to be saturated. It can be 100 people doing the same thing. And because what I've been talking about here so far about the brand thing, and again, I'll repeat this again because it's so important. Guys, listen, people, because it's not primarily about your music anymore. It's not about your music. It's about you. It's about you. People want to support you. People want to find themselves in you. They want to share experiences, share, how they want to see that they're not by themselves. That's one of the reasons I talk about a lot of the stuff that I talk about and share my experiences in the video. My recent video, if you go to my channel right now, watch, and some of you probably have, watch the most recent video that I put out and look at the comments on that video. It's a video about church hurt. Look at the comments on that video and look at how many people on that video in the comments are saying, oh, I thought I was the only one, or man, I feel what you're saying, or man, I can relate to exactly what you've been going through because this happened to me too. Look at how many people are saying that. It's amazing. People want to see themselves in you, right? So when you're talking about a saturated market, it doesn't even matter anymore. In the online space particularly, it doesn't matter anymore. Man, put your stuff out, put yourself out, put your brand out about who you are, get people to relate to you, and they're going to support you. That's bottom line. That's what it's going to come down to. So hope that helps, Samuel. Let me see. Tony's asking, do you have a Facebook group? I love to connect with the other people who love and appreciate you. Oh man, thank you for saying that. So how do I answer this? Yes and no. I'll tell you guys a little bit about, and thank you guys for remaining. We've been on here for hour and 40 minutes already. So thank you guys for staying so much for so long. One of the things I'll tell you guys about the YouTube Creator Academy for musicians. One other thing that we have that I don't promote a lot is our Musicians Inner Circle. I think we got a few people here on the stream from our Musicians Inner Circle. Now, what is Musicians Inner Circle? Musicians Inner Circle is we have an online portal where we basically discuss subjects like this and we develop courses on a monthly basis. So let me go over here. I actually show you guys what this looks like. Let me pull this up. So this is Musicians in a Circle. Now, this is what you see here is some of the courses and things that we've talked about. So all of my courses that I release are here in Musicians in a Circle, and the members of Musicians in a Circle get them, for free. So check out all of the stuff that we have. Marketing courses. So music theory courses, the gig conversation. This is about how to talk to people. We just talked about how to approach venues and stuff like that. This is in this course. Social media master class, how to start your business from scratch. Conquer your content. Money mastery, developing your avatar. We all know how important that is. Niche. Productivity. We talked about productivity in here. How to develop digital products. Like if you're doing something online, developing your courses and stuff like that. We got a course on that. Musician Success Plan, the complete guide to releasing music. We talked about how to release music. Many, 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 many courses here. And the thing about this is we do a new one every month. Like every month we do a new training in here, and everybody has access to this. So home studio mastery. This talks about how to, if you want to start a home studio and set up your home studio and all of this kind of stuff. Many, many courses. Branding. We talked about branding. Talked about live show. Well, we didn't talk about live show, but this is a course on that. How to, when you're doing your live shows and live gigs and stuff like that, how to be engaging as a musician, artist, or band. Financial breakdown, money mastering, and money management secrets for musicians. That's something we all need, right? Many, many, many courses in here, guys. I could go through this, and because we've been doing this for quite some time. Even a course on how to live stream, stuff like that. The 2025 playbook. There's many, many courses in here. And guess what, guys? This is, again, I'm because you guys are on the stream. I do have a special for this running for you guys. This is a monthly fee that you have. So let me bring this up as well. Let me go back to my main camera here. So let's see. And I want you guys just to guess. Like I just showed you Musicians in a Circle. Let me go back to it again, because I want you guys kind of guess on this. Let me go to my screen. There we go. That's what I want. With all of this stuff in here. Now, each of these courses, let me tell you, each of these courses are minimum an hour. Most of them are like hour and a half, 2 hours or something like that. So this is like in-depth training on all of this stuff. Out of all of this stuff that you've seen here, what do you think the cost of this is? I just want to see what your guys' thoughts are. Put that in the chat. What do you think the cost for this is? I know there's a delay from me talking when you guys hear or see this. Just let me know what you guys think the cost of this. I said it's a monthly fee. So just let me know what you think the cost of it is. And while you guys are putting that in, let me read a couple of more other questions. Ricky is saying, thank you. Oh, it's my pleasure. Ellen again is saying, yes, I agree to get everybody on the same page. It's okay to step down for a reason until all the pieces are together. And I had too many competing church activities for a full commitment. Yeah, Ellen, good stuff. Tony's saying $20 a month. Samuel's saying $97 a month. Good guesses. See who else guesses. I want to get a couple more in there before I tell you. Ricky is saying, hey, bro, mention the value of attending business marketing seminars and the value you get from paying for them to learn skills outside of just them. Yeah, man. Absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. Learning the business side. I'm telling you, when the question was asked, what's the biggest mistake that I think musicians make? It is the business side. It's not knowing the business side. So anything that you can go to and learn the business side of stuff is always going to be good to you. One of the things I do every year, there's a couple of conferences that I usually invest in going to about twice a year now. So last year I went to a couple of content creation conferences and stuff like that. The two biggest ones I think that are in the world I went to. So each year I even spend time investing in those things because I think they're important. So yeah, man, actually what you said, attending marketing seminars and conferences and stuff like that is the thing. Even the online, especially the online stuff. All right, so got a couple of guesses in here. See, the brother AJ said minimum $500 for all, monthly fee something like $30 per month. Ellen is saying 50. Y'all kind of, I say you kind of pretty close to it. I'll go back over here and show it to you. So right now it is the average or the actual monthly price of it is $67 per month. But what I did for you guys on here, if you guys are interested in joining it, I'll leave this up for like a day or so. It is let you guys get in there for $47 a month. And in that, again, we're developing a community where we just of the musicians and stuff that are in there that will, be a Facebook community and stuff like that. This is how I was answering the question. So I'll put the link to this in the chat. If you guys are interested in enjoying that. Again, it's a kind of no commitment thing. You guys can try it out. If you don't like it after the first month, you can, there's no thing. You can quit at any time. You'll see that. I think I put that on this page here somewhere. Yeah. Cancel anytime. You see that right here. Cancel anytime. You figure, you try it out for a while. You figure it's not for you. Hey, just cancel. This is just how this works. I know we musicians, the stuff that I create when I've gone to business conferences and stuff like that, and the stuff that I create, I'm always keeping the musicians and stuff that I create stuff in mind. And I know that a lot of us we're not the richest people in the world. We don't have money to just throw away. So I try to price stuff, although I have business people telling me, oh man, this stuff is worth at least this. You should price it for this. And I'm like, yeah, I could. But my thing is I genuinely want to help. So I want to put it at a level to where it's reasonable for everybody. Excuse me. Reasonable for everybody. And that they can still get some value out of it. So again, that's, if you guys are interested in joining it, I just dropped the link of that in the chat so you can join today. Actually, I'm going to take this because this stream is going to be up for a while. So I'm actually going to take this price down when we get off. It'll be $67 because I don't want to leave this up. So if you guys are interested, and we'll be on the stream for a few more minutes. So if you guys are interested in joining, go ahead and check it out now. And I think we got through all of the questions. That was all of the questions that we had. Let's see. Make sure I didn't miss anything. Yep, that was all the questions that we had. So if you guys are interested, make sure you jump in on that. The YouTube Creator Academy is there. I dropped the link for that. I'll go ahead and put the link for that one again. It is here. So the first one was Musicians Inner Circle. And then this would be for the YouTube. Am I spelling it right? Wow, UTUB. I'm not spelling it right. TUB Creator Academy for Musicians. And this is the link for that. So I just dropped that in the chat so you guys can check that out. So again, thank you guys so much for being here. If you have any other questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat. We'll be on here for a few more minutes. I'll take some more live questions if you guys are if you guys want to ask. We'll take a few more questions. Let me scroll back up and make sure I didn't miss anything. Also, if you don't have a question, if you haven't let me know where you're watching from, let me know. Let me know where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know where you guys are from, and tell me what's going on there in your market too. Like how are the gigs and stuff, like where you located? What's the average amount that bands and musicians are paid, and are there a lot of gigs? Is it a good market? And what kind of music is popping for live music kind of things? Let me know those kind of things as well. Let's see. Is there anything else? I just want to double check and make sure we didn't miss anything. I did say I was going to drop my link for the. Let me see if I can pull that up. My link. Brian is asking, YouTube, is the Musicians Inner Circle inclusive of the YouTube course, or are they separate? Yeah, those are only two things that are separate things. So the YouTube Creator Academy, that's a separate course because that's kind of like the flagship course that we have. So that's separate. That you don't get that in Musicians Inner Circle. But here's the thing: the members of Musicians Inner Circle do get a discount on like all of the flagship courses and stuff like that. So there is, if you. This is me kind of hipping you the game. This is me going against my business strategist who tells me about stuff like this all the time. But one way to do this is if you get in Musicians Inner Circle and you stay in there for at least 2 months, that you get the YouTube Creator Academy course for half off. And that's half off the price that you're seeing it now, the one that on the link that I showed you, because this is a special link. So it's half off that link. So you get a pretty good deal if you join Musicians in a Circle first and do it that way. Yeah, that's, again, I just want to be kind of straight with you guys and tell you that I don't want to, do any kind of funny business. But yeah, good question. I said what I was looking for was my, I mentioned earlier about my affiliate link for Kartra, for the online business platform that I use. Let me see if I can get that really quickly for you guys, just in case you're interested in checking that out. If you're interested in kind of starting your business, that's what I would advise checking out. Let me see. And I'll give you the one. I have several links. There's one with a 14-day trial or something like that. Or maybe it doesn't work anymore. So I'm clicking on it just to see. Okay, I'll have to go create one. That's what it is. So it'll take me some time to do that. So I'll have to come back and do that later. But if you guys are interested, what I do, this is what I do. If you guys are interested in that, just email me. And I'll send you the link for it. So let me put my email address, the one I use publicly that you guys can use. Email me. Or if you, like I said, if you have any other questions about Musicians in a Circle or any things like that, the YouTube Creator Academy, you got questions about it, because I like to ask questions before I buy stuff. So, I mean, yeah. If you guys think of a question and it comes to you, you want to email me, you can always do that. So you can do that at this email address. Just drop that in the chat. Brother ALJ is again saying you're in New Jersey. Yeah, have your own band. Gigs are not as prevalent, but you got to just hustle harder. I play drums in the band, learn keys, and now learning bass. I release solo projects as the Brother AJ. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. So you're saying that the gigs there are not as prevalent. I wonder, that's just a live music scene in general? Like there's not a lot of live music there? Or is it the case that, like I hear a lot of people talk about how, there is a really good live music kind of thing in our area, but like it's the same bands that's always playing them. Is that the thing? Or is it just more that you don't have a lot of live music there at all? Yeah, so thanks for sharing that, man. We're gonna be on here. It's 3:53 now. We'll stay on here for another 7 minutes. So stay on here to 4 o'clock my time. I know a lot of you guys. If you're in Jersey, you're watching on East Coast time, so you're an hour ahead of us, I think. So, yeah, it's almost 5 o'clock your time. I'm here in Texas where it's 3:53 p.m. So we'll stay on here another few minutes if you guys have any other questions about about anything that we've talked about. Or about any of the courses or anything like that. We've had a few people that have joined music. I'm just looking at it. We've had a few people. Oh my God. Wow. Okay. Yeah, we've had quite a few. Some people have joined YouTube Creator Academy, and let me see. Yeah, quite a few of y'all have joined Musicians in a Circle. Thank you guys so much. Yeah, I think you guys are going to get, matter of fact, I know you're going to get a lot of value out of joining those platforms. I get a lot of feedback all the time. This is why I continue to do it, because I get a lot of feedback from a lot of musicians, artists, and bands about how stuff like this has helped them. And the good part about it, the stuff is available immediately. As soon as you join, you can jump right into the content. That's what I always recommend people do, because it really comes down to about the stuff that we've talked about on the stream so far, about the learning and growing. A lot of the success and stuff that we're going to have as musicians, especially going forward, is going to be about the know-how. This whole content, the thing about, I talked about the content world doubling by 2027, and that's going to bring a lot more people into the fold. And then it's going to become a game of who are the best people in there. It's like this. I'll give you an analogy. A lot of people complain about platforms like Spotify and about how Spotify doesn't pay artists and musicians band, and they take money from them and then they don't play the best artist music and all of that kind of stuff. And here's the thing, when it comes down to stuff like that, while all of that may be true, the thing about anytime you have a lot of people on something, I'm not using the word saturated because again, it's different in the online world. But when you have a lot of people on a platform like that, it does become a game of who is the best. Like the best artists do tend to rise to the top. And when I say best, hear me what I'm saying. When I'm saying the best, that doesn't, like I've talked about here, that doesn't necessarily mean the best music. Like your music is the greatest. It means the best all around. So the best at marketing, the best at promoting, the best of getting yourself out there, the best at setting yourself up professionally, all of the things that we talked about. And guess what that comes through? Through learning and through knowledge. So it's the same thing with everything that we've been talking about here so far. Like it really does come down to, my friends, like the knowledge and expertise that you're going to have going forward. The more the old saying, the more you know, the more you grow, is never been more true. In this music game that we're playing now with the online stuff and it not being only about your music and stuff like that, the people who know the most are going to grow the most. And, the people who know the most and kind of implement that knowledge and monetize that knowledge, they're going to grow exponentially. I mean, I don't want to say overnight success, but it's going to be the closest thing that you come to it. I mean, there's going to be a learning process that you're going to have to do and all of that kind of stuff getting off the ground. But I mean, it's going to happen really quick. So the more you know, the more you grow. That's why I'm always advising people to, whenever you have opportunities like this, like the ones I'm presenting with Musicians Inner Circle and, YouTube Creator Academy and stuff like that, when you have those opportunities, take yourself up on them. Get involved in stuff like that and, start assimilating and learning the knowledge. Is one of the things I tell people when, again, I mentioned me being a personal trainer. When people talk about joining, some of the programs, the personal training programs and stuff that I have, and one of the biggest sort of hesitations is when people say they can't afford to right now. And my thing is, I always ask them is, can you afford not to right now? And that comes down to, like, how important is your health to you right now? Can you afford right now to not be healthy? Right? And that's the same thing I'll say with the things that we're talking about today. Can you afford right now to not have this knowledge, when knowledge and the assimilation of that knowledge is becoming by far the most important? You guys have seen all of the AI stuff, Chat GPT and all of this kind of stuff, where people can learn and get stuff like in a millisecond. You can go on Chat GPT and ask Chat GPT the answer to something. You can have it create stuff for you and all of this kind of stuff. In a world like that, it's not going to be about the ability to be able to do it. It's going to be about knowing how to do that and how to do that kind of stuff better than everybody else. And again, that comes through learning, knowledge, and growing. So yeah, again, thank you guys so much. Let me see. You guys are saying, yeah, brother, you're saying the same bands are not at those spots. Okay, yeah, I hear you on that. So it's probably it's probably a situation that I hear a lot where you have like a lot of the same bands playing for a lot of the same spots. What I always advise, man, is you figure out how to put yourself in a position to be one of those bands that's playing in those places. That comes through the stuff we've been talking about. So that's what I'll say to that. MJC is saying, thank you for the live. Hey guys, let me know, you guys that are still here too, let me know if I've been considering doing more of these live streams like this, to where we just kind of get together and talk about stuff like this. Are you guys okay with that? Would you guys show up to watch that if I did that on a more regular, consistent basis? Again, it's one of the ways that I've been thinking about. I think about all the time how I can be more valuable and bring more value to the community, musician community. So if you guys think this is something that we can do on a regular basis and that it would be valuable to, just let me know in the comments. So I really want your feedback on that. Brian again is saying, do any of your courses get into things like copyrights, mechanical license, sync licenses, stuff like that? Yes, they do. I think we have a course Yeah, I saw, Brian, that you did join Musicians in a Circle. I can't point you to the exact one right now because there's so many in there, but I'm almost certain that it is. And if it's not, the good thing about it is about Musicians in a Circle, the courses and stuff that we build are based on questions and stuff like what you're asking me about. So if there's something in there that you want to know, what we do is we come together and get the questions together that everybody wants to know, and then we build a course around that. So the answer to your question either way is yes. So yeah. Um, let's see. Akichi is saying, hi, hey, just now tuning in. Are you able to shed some light on how musicians can get into session and studio work? Akichi, yeah. Give me a second. Let me read. I'll come back to your question in just a second. Let me read a couple of the other ones really quick. Well, okay. So the rest of these are questions. So I'll go ahead and answer your question now. So how can you get into session and studio work? Really simple, man. Post videos about it. What instrument did you play? Akichi, I recognize your name. I know you've been here on some of the lives and stuff with us before. I can't remember what you play. But let's just say, I'll use for an example, if you play drums, what you do is start creating some videos with you playing some session stuff on drums, even just like little short clips, 15, 30-second clips. And then put a caption on there while the video is going, available for session work. Do it consistently. Put out a video, a few times a month, 3-4 times a month, once a week. Session work till you plan on stuff. Share that video to your other channels. So let's say if you did a Instagram video, share that same video on TikTok, Facebook, Snapchat, all of the other social media platforms that you own. At the same time, put your business stuff together. So when people do reach out to you and say, hey man, how can I hire you for session work? You say, oh, hey, here's my link. Right here, I have different packages where if you just want one song or if you want multiple songs, they give discount. There you go. You see how, guys, how all of this kind of stuff kind of comes back to these same core principles that we've been talking about. It's amazing how that works. It's like one of the things I do, I keep using these workout analogies because I'm into working out. But, we get on these diets, like there's these fad diets that come up like every 3-4 years. There's this diet, there's the South Beach diet, there's the keto diet, there's all of these diets. And the thing about all of these things is that they all work to some extent as long as they all have the same core principles. Stop eating so much junk, remove this kind of stuff from your diet, do more exercise, do more of this, and then you're going to lose weight, you're going to gain muscle. It all comes down to the same core principle. And it's the same thing with this music stuff that we're talking about. So how do you do session work? How do you get yourself out there more? How do you do these things? It all comes down to these same exact principles we've been talking about. So I hope that helps, Akichi. Martin is saying, be interested in your view about AI generated music and songwriting and how much of a threat it is to creativity. Oh, that's a really good question, man. It's not a threat at all. It's not a threat. I don't see that as literally, if you put that on a scale of 0 to 100, I'm putting it at like 0.2% of a threat. Because it doesn't have, I think and here's the reason I say it. What seems to always have been true and that will always be true is that human connection is going to be a thing. No matter how much the AI or everybody think robots are going to take over and all of this kind of stuff. No matter how much all of that stuff becomes the case, human connectivity is always going to be a thing. And there's a difference between AI generated music and human created music. There's a human element to it. It's almost like if you understand or know anything about music production and about when you're doing music, about quantizing music and quantizing drum beats and all of that kind of stuff, and how robotic it sounds or at least how robotic it can sound when it's like that. And the difference between that and when you just have like a raw band, like playing and grinding out music, there's a difference between stuff like that. And I think there's always going to be an appeal to stuff like that. Now, AI generated music will have its place. It's like asking me, we talked about McDonald's and Burger King earlier. Like how much of a threat like this mom and pop burger place that shows up on the corner down the street from Burger King is going to be a threat to Burger King. Well, I mean, sure, it may take some burger sales. Some people may start going there instead of going to Burger King, sure. But enough of a threat to be like significant, I doubt it. So now, again, I'm saying that now. I reserve the right to change my position on that as things change and as things grow. You ask me again a year from now and things are differently, I may see it differently. But as it stands right now, yeah, I don't see it as a big threat at all. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. Let me see. Ricky Wade is saying, I'm in Vegas, and there are something going on here, conventions, casinos, local club bars, but it's a hustle to get the work. Yeah, I know a lot about Vegas, about getting a lot of the work in Vegas. What I would say about that is because Vegas is an entertainment town, entertainment city. The big stages, the big casino stages, they're going to be reserved for the artists that have the residencies. You know, Usher just, I'm sure you know, I'm telling you that, but Usher just did his residency there and all of that kind of stuff. So those stages are always going to be for that. What I would focus on if you're trying to get work there, and this is, you judge this based, I'm going off what I know, somebody that tells me that I know lives in Vegas that tells me the stuff like this and about getting work there. It's basically to focus a lot on those more local bars, kind of outside of the strip, that have music and stuff like that, where you have like the common people who are coming in, traveling, that kind of don't want to stay on the strip and kind of want to stay away from that stuff, but still have a little bit of that same kind of feel and entertainment. Because when people come to Vegas, they want to, they want to experience some of that. So focus on getting a lot of those and getting like, regular work in those, and that maybe help. That's what somebody told me that, or I actually had a couple of people that I know live in Vegas that tell me that. So hopefully that helps. Melita is saying again, I'm a professional backing vocalist from Amsterdam, now working with a reggae band, Fire Nation. We support reggae dance hall artists touring in Europe. Our gigs depend on the deals they make. Yeah, that makes sense, Melita. Okay. So your deals depend on or your gigs depend on the deals. Do you mean that you wait for a lot of the dance hall artists to kind of reach out to you and, propose deals to you? How does that work? You're also saying it's great, but not enough income for me. Any ideas? That is kind of interesting. So yeah, I kind of need to, that's why I asked the question about what you were saying. I kind of need to know more about what your situation is to kind of be able to answer that question. So tell me a little bit more about how that's working for you. Oh, my boy Justin here. Justin here is here in Houston, bass player. Good to see you, Justin. He said, keep dropping those gems, Terrence. Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you for being here, Justin. Martin Higgs says, yes, live is good. Thanks for tonight. Oh yeah, man. My pleasure. Akaji is saying, yeah, I've been here. Playing. So yeah, I know I recognize your name, Akaji. Playing sax. That's right. Now I remember you play sax. Ellenson's got to run, Terrence. Everybody, see you next time. Thank you again so much, Ellen, for being here. Take care. Hope you have a great day. And Zavon is saying, hey, Terrence, I love your content. What are your thoughts on bands or musicians that play and sing along to tracks? Do you think there's a market for helping live bands digitize track and track out their shows? Yes. So here are my thoughts. I know there's opinions about bands who play with tracks and stuff like that. This I want everybody to listen to me on this. This is something important I think we all need to recognize. There are a lot of opinions out there about musicians and about things we do, shouldn't do, and all of this kind of stuff. There's everybody has opinions. But what I want you to do is not confuse where those opinions are coming from and not let the loud minority dictate anything you do. Here's what I mean by that. A lot of us are part of these online communities, Facebook groups and stuff like that have these perceptions about particular things. Bands should do this on, they shouldn't use backing tracks, iPads on stage, all of this kind of stuff. There's all this kind of ridiculous stuff. Those people are a loud minority. They don't represent any sort of audience perception of bands and musicians. They just don't. So I wanted to preface what I'm saying with that because I know a lot of these questions come from hearing about these other opinions. So listen, live and playing with tracks and, a sort of hybrid of that is the thing now. It's just the way music works. It's the way that every major artist has done shows since we found out Milli Vanilli was lip syncing back in the late 80s. Professional bands and musicians and stuff play with tracks. It's just the way that it works. Now, and I think that matter of fact, I know that there's a bigger market and stuff out there for musicians and bands wanting to get into that just don't know how to do it than you might think. There's a lot of bands that want to do that. I even know a lot of churches that want to get church musicians and stuff that want to get into that kind of stuff, but they just don't know how to do it. So is there a market for it? Absolutely. So the first question about my thoughts on it, it's not a thing, man. Do it. If you're not doing it now, I would say that you're probably working too hard. The good thing, I do music production. So for my bands and stuff that I work with, I produce all of the backing tracks. So for me, it's just what we do is I just kind of fill in the holes that we don't have. So if a song we're doing needs a horn section on it and we don't have a horn section in the band, well, I do a backing track of the horns, right? And we play along live to it or stuff like that. And there's many different ways that you can do it. So yeah, man, that's something you absolutely can do. There's definitely a market out there. Like I mentioned, the sites earlier, there's a multitracks.com site that does stuff for like church musicians. There's another one called Loop Community that does stuff for church musicians. They have R&B stuff on there too. So it's like, yeah, there's definitely a market for it. So if that's something you're thinking about getting to, I would say, yeah, that's a kind of lucrative market that you could do. And I hope that helps, Yvonne. And then Justin saying right on. Yeah, thanks again, Justin, for being here. So Strange is saying scenario: big artist wants chords played that are incorrect from their record. You play them live. Artist gets flamed online. Management fires band. What would you have done to prevent this? I don't know that I understand exactly what you're saying, Strange. Let me see. Let me read it again. Big artist wants chords played that are incorrect from the records. Okay, so you have a artist that has a record that their music is one way, and then that artist wants the band to play the music differently, like different chords than what's on the CD. I think that's what you're saying. Okay, so I got that part. So they incorrect from so you play them live. And then the artist gets flamed online, and then the management fires the band. Why would the artist get flamed online? By who? Oh, I'm imagining just by regular people in general. I'm imagining that's what you're saying. So that sounds like a situation where the management fires the band, not the artist. Yeah, that sounds like one of those situations where somebody was just looking to point fingers at somebody and to blame somebody, right? And the band just took the heat for it because they needed somebody to blame. What would I have done to prevent this? I mean, it's not much you could have done, man. Like if you were following what you were told to do, like if the band was following, like you got directions from the artist or from whoever the superior person was in this situation that told you to do what you're supposed to do, and you did what you were supposed to do. I mean, there's nothing much you could have done differently. I mean, you couldn't have gone like, if they told you, hey, I want you to play this chord or these types of chords no matter what's on my album, and like you couldn't have said like, no, I'm not going to do that. Well, they probably would have fired you for not doing it. So I mean, there's probably nothing that you could have done to prevent this. My question would be not about the fired part, but did you get paid? Did you get paid reasonably and fairly? After that, you can do what you want to do. Like, people, you can fire me as long as for the situations that you've done or that I've done, I've gotten paid for them. Maybe we need to part ways. I don't want to work with people like that anyway. People who like just point fingers and blame people and who like are what it sounds like in this situation. I don't like working with people like that anyway. So yeah, I probably wouldn't have even worried about getting fired. I probably would have been mad about it and got over it in a day or so. I hope that helps. So Zavon is saying, I'm a vocalist and I've performed with bands on both sides of the spectrum, and now I'm helping a few of the old heads digitize their shows. Thank you for your thoughts. Oh man, yeah, it's my pleasure, man. That sounds pretty cool. On both sides of the spectrum, helping a few old heads. Yeah, man, that's good stuff, man. That's a good market for that too. Like I know a lot of the older musicians. I know quite a few of them, because it's funny, I have quite a few older musicians that I coach and some that I use as my mentors as well. Because the older musicians, I'm telling you, have a wealth of knowledge that people just need to tap into. And I know they're in that situation. They're like, man, I still love what we do, but these bands and stuff have these big sounds and they're using backing tracks, and I don't really know how to do it, how to get into it. So, yeah, I know a lot of them are into this. So that's a good market to market to. Leader saying you're responding to Zavon and saying I hear a lot of the soca music and from Trinidad you never see backing vocalist. Okay. Yeah, you were just answering Zavon there. Okay. All right, guys, that's it, man. We've been on here for 2 hours and 16 minutes already. My God, I plan for this stream to go like an hour today. The funny part is I haven't even eaten. It is 4:16 my time and I have not eaten today. I usually wake up and like have a smoothie or something or eat some breakfast or something, but I want it to be, usually when I eat, it'll kind of bring down my energy and stuff a little bit, and I wanted to have some energy for this for this stream. So I was like, well, let me just wait to eat after. I'm only gonna be on for like an hour, so I'll grab something afterward. So much for that. So you said awesome, Brian saying awesome sitting with you on the live chat. Yeah, thank you, man. Yeah, it's awesome sitting with you guys too. Nice to meet a lot of you guys. I know it's a lot of times it's just me on video and doing a video and uploading it, and we don't get a chance to talk like this as musicians. So I wanted to create something like that too. Again, you guys didn't let me know. Let me know again if this is a format like these live streams. If we do them, if I should do this on a more regular basis. I'm thinking maybe once every couple of weeks or something like that, just to start out, and then we see where it goes from there. If you guys are into this and like what we're doing here today, just let me know. Just type a thumbs up or something in the comment and just let me know, because I really want your feedback on that, so I can make a decision about going forward about how I want to handle this, because I am interested in doing this. I think it's very, very valuable to our musician community. So yeah, again, just let me know if this is something we should do. Oh my God, you guys are putting so much thanks to something. And Zavon again is saying, thanks for the dedication and have a great rest of your day, brother. Oh, thank you, man. Yeah, again, it's my pleasure, man. This gives me life, man. Helping. I'll tell you guys a quick story before we jump off. As a young musician coming up, I think one of the biggest things that has made the difference in my career is someone giving me an opportunity. And when I say giving me an opportunity, I mean believing me enough and trusting me enough to give me knowledge about how things work and bring me into their circle. My first gig, this is why I value, when I was talking about older musicians, this is why I value older musicians and stuff so much. My very first gig was when I was 17 years old. I played at a casino, and I wasn't even old enough to get in the casino. They snuck me in, but I was playing with a band, and all of these musicians were, of course, older. They were like 20, some of them 20, 25, 30 years older than me, and they had been in the game for a while. But these guys saw something in me, and they trusted me playing with their band, and it's made all the difference. And they shared their musical knowledge with me. They shared their industry knowledge with me, and they trusted me with that stuff because they saw something in me. And since that moment, for me, I've had this disposition or this paradigm that I think when you show people the way, when you help them, when you get to a point to where, and it's not, again, I'm not the most successful person in the world. Don't hear me sitting here saying I've made it and I'm a millionaire and I've done all of these. It's not that the case at all. It's just that the knowledge that I gain and that I have, I think is valuable, and it's helped me, and I've seen it help so many other people, and it makes me want to share it because I understand what it did for me. And that's what I want to give back to our community. I think us musicians, I think the community of musicians, we're very, very valuable. I think we have a lot of the same and similar struggles, But I think there's ways to get around those things. And as the opportunities and stuff present themselves, as I learn and grow more, as I get further, I'm going to continue sharing that stuff. So that's the why I do this, man. So again, that's why I appreciate you guys being here so much. So lastly, guys, again, you're saying thanks so much to dedicate. Thank you so much. I'll be looking out for the next one. So I guess that's a yes to try to do this some more. Yeah, thanks, Tony. So Strange again is saying the management read the comments of the video. Yeah, we're possibly looking for someone to blame. And yes, I was paid handsomely at least. Thank you. Yeah, man, that's what it comes down to. So as long as you got paid, you can't control what people do, man. People are going to be silly. Some people are stupid. So let them be what they're going to be. Melita saying thank you so much. It was great listening. Very inspiring. Thank you so much, Melita. I could just saying thank you for consistently providing value content for us. Yeah, man. Again, my pleasure. Charles is saying good job, brother. Thanks, man. Nova Groove is saying good information here and on all your channel. As a comedian, I can use some of the info. Use the way, man. If you find humor in some of this stuff, because I find humor in it too. And yeah, please use it and direct me to the videos where you use it. I love to laugh too. So thanks, man. Zavon saying I came in at ground zero in 2017 and was allowed to rehearse with the top East Coast entertainment band here in Atlanta. I rehearsed 3 times a week for a year and a half before my first gig. Environment is everything. Yeah, very true, man. Environment is everything. Who you surround yourself around, who you let in your circle, and who allows you in their circle, and who you learn from is everything. All right, guys, with that said, thank you again so much for being here. Look out for the next live stream. I'll be promoting it on the community tab. I'll be sending out emails and stuff like that. Make sure you get on my email list. Let me drop that. Actually, no, it's under the video. Like any of my videos, you can see how to join my email list and stuff like this. So make sure you join that because I send out information about when we're going to do these live streams and all of that kind of stuff. So with that said, guys, make some great music. Go out and start your business. Do all of the stuff that we talked about here. Decide what your step 1 is going to be. Get to that stuff. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys so much again.